If you are an editor, you're probably tired of seeing everyone doing the exact same thing. But while everyone else fighting for low-paying gigs, tech companies and startups are paying thousands of dollars for 90-second SaaS video, simply because the smooth dynamic animation of project is worth a fortune to them. This style is our fastest ticket into the big budget claving. So in my previous video, I created this SaaS animation.
Have you ever wondered how SaaS animations become the most watched style video on the internet?
And while working on it, I thought it would be interesting to show you what creative process actually look like behind the scenes. Now, it might look like a crazy project with hundreds of layers, but the truth is, it's way simpler than it looks like. In the next 20 minutes, we are going to build one SaaS video from scratch, step by step. You will learn a bunch of powerful SaaS animation techniques, creative transitions, and some really cool effects that you can use immediately in your own project. I'm going to break down the process in the simplest, clearest way possible. So even if you are a complete beginner, you will be able to follow along. All the assets in the project files link in the video description.
Before we start, there's one thing I want to make clear. The ability to come up with animation ideas and instantly know what works for specific scenes comes mainly from experience. There isn't a secret formula for creating beautiful animations. It's mostly come down to practice. The more SaaS videos you create, the easier it becomes to generate ideas and visual animations in your head. What I'm going to do in this video is show you the exact thought process I used while creating this project. And as you gain more experience, you will be able to use the same approach when working on your own animations. So where do we start? The first step is understanding what the speaker is actually saying. In our case, the line is, have you ever wondered how SaaS animations become the most watched video style on the internet? When I first heard this sentence, I knew I wanted the opening animation to be visually impressive and immediately grab the viewer's attention. To make the idea generation easier, I broke the sentence into 3 parts. The first part is the SaaS animations, the second part is the most watched video style, and the third part is on the internet. For each section, I try to think of visual idea that represent what is being said. Now let's start with the first section, SaaS animations. My goal here was to create an animation that instantly feels premium, modern, and engaging enough to hook the viewer into the video. Let's start with the background. I noticed a lot of creators have started using Dot's background style, and I wanted to make something of my own in the same style. Something different, but also really clean. So go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate a small white pixel icons on a black background in repeating looping shapes. This is what it creates for us. Take that result and bring it over to After Effects. If you like our content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Start by creating a new composition with a width of 1920 and a height of 1080. Right click and create a new black solid. Import the pixel icons background into the comp. Scale it up slightly so it fully covers the screen evenly without cutting off the edges. Place it under the black solid layer. Now apply the fractional noise effect to the solid. In the effect settings, change the noise type to prime. Lower the brightness to -30. Under transform, increase the scale to 310. And also reduce the complexity to 1. Now open the evolution expression by holding Alt and clicking on the stopwatch, option on Mac. Then type time multiplied by 200. This creates a dynamic animated background. Now select the solid, right click it and pre-compose it. Make sure to enable the move all attribute into the new composition. Turn off its visibility, now right click and create a new adjustment layer. Now search for the car dance effect and apply it. In the effect settings, change the gradient layer to the black solid. Inside the X scale, change the source to intensity 1. Do the same for the Y scale and set the source to intensity 1 as well. Turn off the visibility of the adjustment layer so you can see clearly the icons. Now what we need to do is count how many icons there are across the row horizontally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20. Yeah. Set the countless value to 20. Then count the icons vertically as well. 1, 2, 3, 12. Yeah, set the rows value to 12. Basically, if you see different parameters, it will increase or decrease the number of vertical and horizontal divisions. And that's how you will create the lines we saw at the beginning. This creates a cool wave background effect. Lower the opacity of the icons layer to 50%. Now with the text tool, type SaaS and 3 dots after it, using the interfont with the medium weight. Center the anchor point of the text and place it in the center of the screen. I was thinking about how I could give the text clean and unique into animation. When I was scrolling through Instagram, I suddenly came across an animation by Rubin Motion, and there was one part that really caught my eye. This moment right here. It just fit the animation so perfectly that it felt almost like a fate. So now let's go back to After Effects and start building those shapes. If you want to request a specific tutorial, feel free to leave a comment with a super thanks and we will seriously consider it. Using the rectangle tool, create a white rectangle like this in the top left corner of the screen and center its anchor point. Now using the star tool, create a star with the same size as the rectangle and place it on top of it. In the settings, change the points to 6 and set the outer radius to 200%. Then slightly scale it down so it matches the rectangle size. Center its anchor point and position on top. Duplicate the original rectangle and bring the duplicate layer above. Add another rectangle on the opposite side so it forms a plus sign. Add another text layer and type slash. Center its anchor point, scale it up so it matches the other shapes, and set the font size to 10 pixels. Position it above the rest of the shapes. Using the ellipse tool, create a circle like this and center its anchor point. Add another shape I created separately. It's a bit complex to build, so I simplified the process for you. This will be in the project files. Add another text layer and type the exclamation mark. Center its anchor point, slightly scale it up and position it above the rest of the shapes. Duplicate the first layer and move the duplicate layer to the top. Select all the shape layers, right click and pre-compose them. Go inside the pre-comp, select all the shapes except the first one, and move them forward 5 frames. At that point, cut the first layer and delete everything after it. Repeat the same process. Move forward 5 frames, cut the bottom layer and delete the rest. Do it again, this time move forward 7 frames. Then again 4 frames. And again 7 frames. Cut and remove everything after. Move forward 5 frames, cut again and remove the remaining part. One last time, move forward 4 frames and make the final cut. That's it. Take a look how this turned out. Bro, it's insane. Now let's color the shapes. The first one stays white. The second shape should change to a light purple color. The third shape should be a slightly darker purple. Since this one contains text, change both fill and stroke to a light red color. The next shape change to a light orange. After that, the following shape should be changed to a light green. The next shape is also text, so change both fill and stroke to a light cyan. And the final shape should stay white. Now select all the shapes, center their anchor points, and move them slightly to the right since some of them are outside the comp. For the first shape, add a glow effect. In the glow effect settings, increase the radius to 350, duplicate the glow, and reduce the radius to 90. Copy both glow effects and paste them onto the next 4 shapes as well. On the green shape, apply the glows and add another glow effect. Change the glow color settings to A and B colors, and set color B to white. Increase the radius to 220. By doing this, we created a white glow on top, which makes for a smoother glow effect. Add the same 2 glow effects to the next shape as well. Finally, do not add any glow to the last shape. It looks absolutely amazing. Go back to the main comp. At the beginning of the shape's comp layer, create position and scale keyframes. Move forward 39 frames, reduce the scale to 26%, then use the position to move the shape to the end of the text. Now use the parent link to parent the text layer to the shapes layer. This way they will move together. Go back to the last keyframes and create position keyframe for the text layer. Move to the beginning of the layer, then shift the text to the right so it starts just after the rectangle. Select the keyframes, open the graph editor and adjust the graph to create a sharp ease-in. Next, create a mask that covers the text like this. In the mask settings, click on the inverted. At the beginning of the layer, create a mask path keyframe. Move forward 1 frame and adjust the mask so the text is only revealed after the rectangle. Move forward another 1 frame and adjust the mask again, keeping the text revealed only behind the moving rectangle. Continue this frame by frame, updating the mask so the text is always revealed just after the rectangle passes. And this is what the final result should look like. And if telling the truth, I never seen something so beautiful like this. The animation looked good, but I felt like it was missing something. I wanted to add some squares rotating around it, but I wasn't quite sure how to design them. Then I remembered the clean animation I saw a few weeks ago, where elements rotate around the center. I took that idea, made a few upgrades, and customized it for my animation. Now add this pre-comp to the main comp. MHD Labs has a full tutorial showing how to recreate this effect from scratch, so you can either use the version I already prepared, or follow this tutorial to build it yourself. I will leave a link to his video in the description. Basically, this setup consists of 8 pre-comps, each containing a different video. They are all connected using expression on their scale and position properties, which are linked to a null object. The null object contains 6 slider controls, each deriving a different parameters of the animation. Move to 1 second and 20 frames and set the rotation to 115. Base scale to 30, active scale to 19, focus angle to -141, radius to 350, and arc to 350 as well. Create keyframes for rotation, base scale, and active scale. Go back to the beginning of the layer, increase the rotation to 350 to create a spinning motion. Then set both base scale and active scale to 0 so all the squares collapse together. Next, move forward 1 second and 20 frames and reduce the rotation to -100. Select the base scale and active scale keyframes, open the graph editor and adjust them to create a sharp ease-in. Then select the rotation keyframes and open the graph editor. To create this motion, shape the graph so the second curve finishes really quickly while the first curve accelerates early. If you leave it like this, the animation pauses in the middle. To fix that, select the 2 middle keyframes, double-click them, confirm the dialog, and they will merge into a single continuous keyframe. Finally, write that merge keyframe slightly in the graph editor. This removes the pause and creates one smooth continuous motion. Alright, now let's level up this a bit. On the first comp, add the mosaic effect and set the horizontal blocks to 30 and the vertical blocks to 15 to create a slightly pixelated look. Next, add the CC ball effect. Set the grid spacing to 20 and the ball size to 50. That already looks great. Now copy both effects and paste them onto the rest of the pre-comp layers. You can see how much it improves the overall look. Go back to the main comp and move to frame 20. Position the new pre-comp in the same location as the original. Place it below the text and the shape layers. Duplicate the layer and move the duplicate above the text. On the top layer, create a mask that covers the right side of the screen, so this layer is only visible on the right. Copy the same mask to the bottom layer. Then enable the inverted in the mask settings. This creates a nice 3D illusion, making the rectangles appear in front of the text on one side and behind it on the other. It looks really nice. Now right click and create a new adjustment layer. Apply the CC lens effect. Set the size to 100 and lower the convergence to 54. Go to the beginning of the layer and create a size keyframe. Move forward 1 second and increase the size to 500. Select both keyframes, open the graph editor and apply ease for a smooth animation. The effect is a little too strong, so go back to the first keyframe and increase the size slightly to 114. That feels much better. Now let's move on to the second part, where I say the pays the most to watch the video. Here, I got the idea to create Instagram size rectangles moving upward in a clean way, simulating reels. It's a nice concept, but I wanted to take it to the next level and I was running out of ideas. Then, out of nowhere, I saw this shape from the text animation and I thought maybe I can create something cool and connect them together. Now go back into the shapes comp and copy the last shape. Return to the main comp. Enable the solo so you can focus on this layer and paste the copied shape. Move it above the first shape. Scale it down a bit so both shapes are the same size and position it directly above. Move this new shape layer to frame 58. At the same frame, go back to the shapes comp, trim the last shape layer and delete everything after that point. Under rectangle path, create keyframes for size and roundness. Also create keyframes for position and rotation. Move forward 1 second. Increase the size until the shape becomes a rectangle roughly like this. Then increase the roundness to 150 and position the rectangle underneath the text, around this area. Finally, add one full rotation to complete the animation. Move back between the keyframes and make the size much narrower but slightly longer. Set the rotation to 180 degrees, open the position, use the pen tool and add a point in the middle of the motion path. Switch to the selection tool, drag the point. Then again with the pen tool, click on the keyframe to create a smoother curve. Move the new keyframe so it's lined up with other keyframes. Select the size keyframes, open the graph editor, and link the two curves into a single smooth graph. Select the roundness keyframes, open the graph editor, and create a sharp ease out. Now do the same for the position. Create a sharp ease out at the end and a sharp ease in on the first keyframes. Finally, select the rotation keyframes and merge the two graphs into one smooth curve. Now the animation looks much smoother. Go to the last keyframe and trim the layer there, and delete the keyframes for the top layer. Move to second 3 and trim the layer again. Duplicate this layer, open the position and add 805 to the Y position. Duplicate it again and add another 805 to the Y position. Repeat this process one more time. Select the 3 duplicated layers underneath and pair them to the original layer using the parent and link. At the beginning of the original layer, add a position keyframe. Go to the end of the layer and move the position up until the third rectangle is in the center of the screen. Go back to the beginning, select all 4 layers and enable the 3D. Add the next rotation keyframe to the original layer, go to the end of the animation, set the X rotation to -15, then slightly adjust the position so the third rectangle stays centered. Select the position keyframes, open the graph editor and create a sharp ease in. Select the X rotation keyframes, open the graph editor and apply easy ease. This makes the movement blend together much more naturally. Import any 3 videos from the pack. Trim all the video layers so they start with the rectangle layers. Scale up the videos so they all have the same size. And also for the video layers, enable the 3D. Hide the visibility of all the videos except the first one. Move the first video layer directly above the first rectangle. Set the rectangle as the video's trackmate. Then parent the video to the rectangle using the parent and link. Adjust the video's position and scale so it completely fills the rectangle.
Now do the same for the second video. Place it above the second rectangle, scale it if needed, and connect it in the same way using the TrackMate and the parent and link. Repeat the exact same step for the third video. For each video, slightly adjust the Z position so it's matched the angle of the rectangle and enhance the 3D illusion. Repeat the same process for the last rectangle. Once everything is finished, go to the end of the rectangle layers and delete the extra part of the rectangle layers after the cut. And that's the final result. Now, we want to transition from a white background to a black background. I remember that pixelated effect I taught you in the last video. Let's try to create something with that. Drag the background comb below the rectangle layers and position it so it starts slightly before them. And of course, the background project is included in the video description, because I already showed how to create this effect in a previous tutorial. You can either use my project or follow the tutorial to recreate it yourself. Open the background comb. If you notice the bed frame with the visible pixels, move to that frame and trim it out. Go forward one frame, trim again, delete the bed frame, and move the second solid so it sits directly after the first one. And it should look like this. This transition is optional, but it makes the animation feel much smoother. Move to 2 seconds and a half. This is where we will transition into the final animation. Trim the pixel transition layer, select the right layer and apply the tint effect. At the beginning of the layer, add the map black to keyframe. Move forward 12 frames and change the map black to white. And that's it. The transition is complete. Take a look. Now let's move on to the final part, where we will animate the page on the internet. Basically, the first thing that comes to mind is to make a small Instagram square like that. And maybe to add a like animation to it as well. So let's start creating and see how it goes. Create a white rectangle about this size and place it in the center of the screen. Center its anchor point. Open the shape settings and set the roundness to 50. Right click the layer and pre-compose it. Inside the pre-comp, duplicate the rectangle layer. On the bottom layer, enable the motion blur. Open the rectangle settings. Unlock the properties and increase the size slightly so it's a little larger. Click on the layer and apply the facebox blur effect. In the effect settings, set the blur radius to 30. Then apply the chromatic aberration effect. It's free and you will find the download in the video description. Duplicate the bottom layer, or the duplicate, disable the motion blur and remove all the effects. Turn off the fill and add a 5 pixel white stroke. Using the rounded rectangle tool, create another rectangle inside the white one, about this size, and set its color to black. Go back to the main comp and enable the continuous rasterize for the pre-comp. This lets After Effects render the layers inside the pre-comp as they were in the main composition, so the effects display correctly. Go back into the rectangle comp, create a circle near to the top left rectangle, about this size, center its anchor point and position it. Create a new text layer and type SM. It's a shortcut for sharp motion. Change the font weight to regular, disable the stroke, and set the fill to black. Center the text anchor point, scale it down to about 18%, and place it next to the circle. Using the rectangle tool, create 3 small squares in the top left corner, side by side, about this size. Center the anchor point and position them in the corner. Import the icon pack, scale the icons down to 9% and place them below the black rectangle. Now arrange them. Place the heart icon on the left and move its layer to the bottom of the stack. The chat icon is already in the right position, so just move its layer above the heart. If it's facing the wrong way, right click it and choose flip horizontal. Place the send icon here and move the save icon to the far right. Create a new text layer and type 100. Use the enter font medium weight with the black fill. Center the anchor point, move it below the icons, scale it down to about 20% and position it next to the heart icon. Duplicate the text layer and type the letter K. Center the anchor point, place it next to the 100. Duplicate the text again, move it above the previous layer and change the value to 300. Position it next to the chat icon. Duplicate it one more time, move it next to the send icon and change the value to 7000. Center the anchor point and scale it down slightly. Import your video and place it above the black rectangle layer. Use the black rectangle as the video's TrackMate. Then parent the video to it using the parent and link. Scale and position the video so it fits nicely inside the rectangle. Import your logo, place it above your black circle layer. Scale and position so it sits perfectly inside the circle. Finally, connect the logo to the black circle using the TrackMate and the parent and link. Now let's animate all the layers into the scene. These techniques look great, but it can get a little messy. So don't worry if yours isn't exactly the same. Select the logo in the circle layer. Then move both 3 frames forward, move 5 frames ahead and add the position keyframe to the circle. Go back 3 frames and move the circle slightly downward. Move the SM text layer so it starts at frame 10. Go forward 5 frames and add the position keyframe. Go back 2 frames and move the text slightly upward. Move forward 4 frames and add the scale keyframe. Go forward 1 frame and add another scale keyframe. Return to the previous keyframe and scale the text up slightly. Select the scale keyframes. In the bounce tool, set it to scale and apply the bounce. Reduce the amplitude to 10 for a more suitable effect. Move to frame 3 and move the 3 dot layers so it starts there. Now let's animate the bottom section. Select the 100 text next to the heart icon and apply the counter preset. In the effect settings, set both multiplayer and pet zeros to 1. Change the first keyframe value to 92. Move the last keyframe to second one and 15 frames. Then change its value to 114. Select the keyframes, open the graph editor and apply easy ease. Go back to the beginning of the layer, apply the counter preset to the number next to the chat icon, and use the same settings, multiplayer to 1 and the pet zeros also to 1. Set the first keyframe value to 300. At the last keyframe, increase the value to 309. Select the keyframes, open the graph editor, and apply easy ease just like before. Go to the beginning again, apply the counter preset to the last number, and also here use the same settings as before, with both values set to 1. Set the animate value to 7003. Go to the last keyframe and change the animate value to 7060. Finally, select the keyframes, open the graph editor, and apply easy ease. Notice that once the number goes above 100, it reaches the K, so move the number slightly to the left to keep them from overlapping. Here's how to fix it. At the frame where the number reaches 100, add the position keyframe to the K, and move the K slightly to the left so it keeps the same spacing from the number. This keeps the animation perfectly aligned. Go to frame 8 and add the position keyframe to the heart icon. Go back 1 frame and move it slightly to the right and down. Go back another 4 frames and add another position keyframe. Move back 1 frame and move the heart slightly downward. Parent the K layer to the number using the parent and link. Then move both layers so they start at frame 3. Go to frame 10 and add the position keyframe to the number. Go back 2 frames and move it slightly to the left. Go back another 3 frames and add another position keyframe. Move back 1 frame and shift the number slightly downward. This creates a nice motion. Move the message icon layer so it starts at frame 8. Go forward 5 frames and add a position keyframe. Go back 1 frame and move the icon slightly to the left. Go back to the beginning of the layer and move the 300 text layer so it starts at the same frame. Go forward 3 frames and add a position keyframe. Go back 1 frame and move the number slightly downward. The animation should look like this. Now move the send icon layer so it starts at frame 13. Go forward 2 frames and add a position keyframe. Go back 1 frame and move the icon slightly upward and to the right. Go to frame 20 and add a scale keyframe. Go back 1 frame and increase the scale slightly to 12%. Move the icon next to it so it starts at the same frame as the icon. At frame 23, add both position and scale keyframes. Go back 1 frame, increase the scale slightly to about 25%, and move the number slightly upward. The animation should now feel smooth and polished. Finally, animate the save icon. Move the layer so it starts at frame 3. Go forward 7 frames and add a position keyframe. Go back 1 frame and move the icon slightly up and to the right. Go back another 4 frames and add another position keyframe. Move back 1 frame and shift the icon slightly downward. The motion should look like this. And that's another animation technique you can use in your own project. Go back to the main comp, move the Instagram comp so it starts right after the rectangle animation ends. Move forward a few frames and add a scale keyframe. Go back to the beginning of the layer and set the scale to 70%. Select the keyframes, open the graph editor and create a sharp ease in. Move back to the beginning of the rectangle animation, open the settings for the third rectangle in the center of the screen. Add size, roundness and position keyframes. Go back to the end of the animation and extend the layer slightly so you can see it. Resize the rectangle so it matches the Instagram card exactly. Then position it in the same place. Set the roundness to 0. Select the keyframes, open the graph editor and create a sharp ease out. Trim the layer back so it ends with the rest of the animation. Select all the rectangle layers except the center one and the video attached to it. Just before the end, add opacity keyframes. Go to the end of the layers and set the opacity to 0%. Add the background shape I showed you how to create in my previous tutorials. Move the layer below the Instagram comp. Now the transition looks much cleaner. Open the icons comp again. At frame 22, split the heart icon layer. Apply the tint effect to the second half. Set both map black and map white to a bright pink color. At the beginning of the second layer, add a scale keyframe. Move forward 10 frames and increase the scale to 12%. Move forward another 10 frames and return it to the original size. Select the keyframes and with the bounce tool add a scale bounce. The animation should look like this. Move forward 1 frame from the beginning of the layer and place the filled out icon above it. Scale and position it so it perfectly covers the empty part of the heart. Parent it to the pink heart using the parent and link. Copy the tint effect from the heart layer and paste it onto the filled heart. At frame 28, add the position and scale keyframes. Go back to the beginning of the layer and set the scale to 50%. Duplicate the filled hard layer and remove all its keyframes. Unparent the duplicated layer. At the beginning of the layer, add the position keyframe, move to frame 41 and move the heart upward. Select the keyframes, open the graph editor and apply easy ease. Go back to the beginning and add a scale keyframe. Move forward 5 frames and scale the heart down to 6%. Move forward another 5 frames and scale it up to 10%. Select the keyframes and apply the bounce. At the last keyframe, set the opacity to 0% and create a keyframe. Trim the layer at that point and delete the remaining part. Move back a little and set the opacity back to 100%. Just before the layer starts, add an opacity keyframe. At the first frame of the layer, set the opacity to 0%. This creates a smooth pop-in animation. Go to the last keyframe, extend the layer slightly so you can see the full animation. Duplicate the layer and move the heart to a different position. Repeat this process 9 more times, placing each heart in a slightly different position. Select all the heart layers and stagger them randomly by up to 10 frames. Since the hearts now start layer, move them all slightly earlier so they begin just before the animation. And that's it. Here's the final result. Hope you enjoyed and got some value out of this video. Feel free to follow for more content. See ya.